Alright, we're up at 138 BPM. We're starting here with the kick and bass, as you should every time you're making techno. So for our kick, it's this kick I tweaked a bit. If I actually show you the original, right, it's there. This sample and this whole template are available on my website as well at the top of the description if you want to follow along. But basically I took that kick from the pack and I made it a bit shorter here. I pitched it down to make it match with the bass better, which is like very underrated method of making stuff work here too. You definitely got to get your pitches right on the kick and bass. But then I got a low pass filter with an envelope on that. So see, it kind of makes it a bit tighter, but you still have that really, really fat punch. So I've got that, and then the bass line. Alright, so what's happening with the bass line, if I turn off all the effects, is we have this. Right, so it's basically this loop that I made with a few different kicks from the same pack here that I was talking about, where basically you can see I've got like this one. See, when you take these and stretch them out and make them a bit lower and stuff and play with the warping, you start to get kind of cool bass rolls, right? So I got that. And then it just cuts out, and then in the second half you get this. And yeah, when I was studying these tracks, I noticed this. The bass line will really just be a loop that's this long, literally. Right, and then we go past these a bit on each. I've got some drum bus. Right, so obviously making it a bit more full too, because you still need that like steady low end. Then I got this band pass. Just kind of cleans it up, you know, and focuses it, because you really only want it to be in this tiny little range of the frequency spectrum. Sidechain with the high pass on it, so you're only really sidechaining to like that, right? And then bass mono. And then there's nothing on the group, but I do like to keep those together, because then when you're mixing, you kind of just have this bus where you can turn down the whole low end. Also, we got a little sidechain up here. So then we start with the percussion. Just a little hi-hat. You can hear it's really short and punchy. Like all the drums here you're gonna want are that same kind of like really tight, you know, punchy aesthetic. We have this. So this is loop. I think I pitched this down and kind of like consolidated it, but just adding to the atmosphere. Little live shaker, which is something I notice a lot with these tracks too, right? So we have the really rigid, like tight percussion that's programmed, but then you put it with this live stuff, like this shaker that's a little imperfect. Yeah, and it creates a really nice groove. So this is one of those. Then we have this, just another hi-hat playing on some offbeats. Kind of like some effects loop where I kind of took this and just took like a certain section of it, and then it's being filtered and auto pan sidechain. Then we're starting to get into some little stabs. Right, so this is something that's done in a lot of these tracks too. Like a lot of these weird sounds that have rhythm to them, a lot of times it's very much as simple as like finding a little stab like this that has something, or maybe a piece of a loop, and just use a tiny little bit of it like that. Right, and it just pops in and then disappears. Then we got this. So the way I did this is we have all these little like metallic percussions right inside of this drum rack, and then I've got an arpeggiator on random, and then we just have this MIDI clip with all of them playing at once, but the arpeggiator cycles through them at 16th notes. And I put on the swing too. So it's kind of a cool way to get some cool like random metallic, FM percussion like that. And then this one is the same thing but with some bongos. See, that's all of them at once. And I even left in the MIDI notes there that don't have anything, because then you kind of get some counts where you're not hearing it. Alright, and that's got a high pass as well. So this is something too that there's a lot of as we scroll through here, where it's like, I've noticed for a lot of the kind of low end, like sitting on top of that really subby bass, this is part of why you want the bass to be just focused, like I was talking about. See, it's stuff like this, where basically you take this bongo and pitch it down. It's pitched down a whole octave, so it is like a live percussion. But you pitch it down an octave, and then it's bandpassed, and then it's obviously got the sidechain. And see, it kind of sits over top of this. There's a lot of these. This one fit here, but you could even do like this if you wanted. Right, and just kind of fill out the low end that way. So we got that going. Then we have some operators. We have 5 of them. So first is this one. Right, it's just this little high-end percussion. You can even turn it up. So it's really simple. It's operator. We got this thing where it's like a few sine waves doing FM, but one's really, really high compared to the other one. Right, so you're getting that cool metallic kind of sound, plus there's the amp envelope on the whole thing. And then I have an LFO moving that pitch randomly. So it just kind of changes the sound over time. You could even do more with this if you really wanted to. Like you could do like some grain delay and stuff. Right, but I wanted to keep it simple, kind of just like a percussion. We've got this, which is like this kind of weird percussion thing I made. It started as a melody. Right, it's literally just dancing between 2 notes, really simple. But it's a polyrhythm. Like the MIDI actually is literally just this, what I highlighted. Just duplicated a bunch of times, and then I consolidated it all, so. Right, you kind of get the polyrhythm, simple FM patch. Again, playing around with having the first one up a lot higher so you get that metallic sort of. And then the spectral resonator. I've used it a lot through here, but it's basically like putting this underwater, as you can hear, right? And it kind of makes it more like a percussion. It sits in an interesting spot in the mix, especially when you add this chorus, where like you can hear it. But you also don't necessarily notice it, right? So then we got this thing. So this is starting like this. I have this crazy MIDI sequence. I'll show you how I'm generating these, but I also wanted to show you the MIDI of what's actually going on. Although these aren't as hard to generate as it might look. But I basically got this, where it's like this crazy dancing around. Right, and I got this very modular-esque kind of sound going here in operator, where again, it's more of the stuff where the first oscillator is really, really high compared to the other ones. So you just get that weird metallic stuff. I've also got a pitch envelope going like that, but like into the note because it's minus 100. Spectral resonator, which is kind of just adding unison. Honestly, this can be a good way to add unison to operator, which I've always wanted it to have that, and it never did, but it kind of does now if you do this. Right, you can even have the dry wet lower. But that does give it some unison. I've got this auto pan and a high pass. And also the thing is, you got to tune this first. So I've tuned it to G sharp, which is the key we're in. But then it basically just becomes unison if you turn that decay down and bring the unison up. We've got this one, which is another one of those sequences, right? Like this, where it's dancing around, but this is more of like percussion. So it started like this. So you see I've got this FM algorithm going. So I think we're still getting the triangle wave, is not getting FM. But you can see I've turned these off. They're on the fixed thing. So it's literally not even notes anymore. It's just weird frequencies FMing each other, which is where you can really get into some cool like drum stuff, because it's just not as perfect. Like if I put these back on, right, these are all on like very clean pitches, but if you put it to this, right, so we got that. I've got a little bit of this bandpass filter too, which has the hard shaper kind of giving it that sound, and it makes it more percussion too, right? And then auto pan, high pass. So then we got this weird thing. So what this is it's starting as this, and I'll show you. This is how we do these sequences. Okay, so I got this operator patch again, taking off or putting it on the fixed frequency setting, so getting more of the weird kind of stuff that you can't really get on the other setting. Right, really good for this techno. And then we have this SQ sequencer. This is a Max for Laugh update that was recently put on Ableton, and yeah, I really like it. I've been using it, and basically the way that I'll use it is I'll literally duplicate this just to show you. So duplicate that, and what you can even just do, like how I made this, is you just can randomize these. You just hit the dice, right, and just randomize everything. Right, and so you can get really cool sequences this way, and it's a really like nice interactive way to do it. You can play with a lot more than I just showed you, but that's basically how I did this one. Right, that just kind of worked really well with this groove. Then we got a spectral resonator. Again with the FM setting. This one I was kind of going for a little more freakish though. Right, it's a bit more heavy. Auto pan. High pass, but that's not all. I also have this send. What's happening here is it's just a super long reverb. Turn up the high end, cut out the low end, and then I gated it, but you do like the side chain, so it's actually side chain to that, and then you only hear this when that's playing. And then it cuts out, and it kind of adds this cool rhythm to the background. It makes the whole thing a lot more ominous too. We got this little chopped loop. So yeah, it's just kind of this weird like modular loop. I chopped just this short like half note section of it. A little bit of filtering and just the side chain. We've got this thing as well. So what's going on here is it's basically looping this really short sample. Like I can show you the sample. It's literally just that, right? But it loops it at the end. And then because I have this LFO here, on the tight quarter notes, you hear how it's like dun, dun, dun. Right, it's very like rhythmic and it feels really tight on the beat. So I have that, and then there's this auto pan, and then a high pass, and that's just playing G sharp again. But you see, I did it on quarter notes, repeating, so you don't get the full loop. Like the full loop kind of had a few more notes I wasn't really into. So then we got this thing, which is really simple MIDI wise. It starts like this. Right, simple pattern. We got this formant oscillator here on wavetable. which is moving randomly with this LFO, right? So that's starting it. You can see there's no retrigger on there. We got one vocoder, which is noise. Another one on the modulator with the formant up. And then the spectral resonator starts. So we got this first one. Right, kind of like graining it out with the granular there. A bit of overdrive. Some spectral resonator after that, which is kind of doing the unison effect. Another one, but this time it's a spectral time. Some OTT. And then auto pan and high pass. Right, so this just kind of fills out the beat a little bit. You'll see as we go down here, there's a lot more where it's like, a lot of the stuff I've already shown you is really repetitive. This is the stuff that kind of just jumps in and out to keep it exciting. Right, this is another one of those. It's literally just like a tiny piece of this breakbeat with a bandpass filter on it. I pitched it down a bunch too, like more than an octave. And then, yeah, that just, it's more of that stuff with the bongos where they're just pitched down and filtered. Right, you can hear how it kind of grooves with that. We have more of those. So then we got this one. Again, it's just pitched down a ton. Bandpass, auto pan. But all this stuff just sits really well on top of that bass. Right, so it's all kind of building up, and that's why this stuff sounds so minimal, like in the high end. It's because there's a lot going on down here. Right, then we got our main hi-hats. So we got a closed 909. I made it quite short and pitched it down a lot. It's definitely, you got to pay attention to the envelopes on your drums with these. Like, you really want these to just be short, punchy. You can see this one, I shaped the attack a little. I also added this redux, so here's without it. With it. It adds a bit more mid-range, so it's kind of punchier. And the shaker's also doing that as well. And the shaker, you can hear, adds some like width to it, which is nice. I got a high pass, a little bit of a high end boost as well, and then this auto pan sidechain. Then we got this thing. Just another live shaker. Again, they're really good for this style where it's like, it sits really well over top of those 909 kind of electronic hi-hats. So then we got these, all the stuff I was really talking about with like jumping in and out. Right, all these little effects and stabs. So the first one is made with this. It's this little audio file I found. You can see I put it on the grid, and then it kind of goes off at the end, so it sounds cool because it's like, you know, losing shape. Spectral resonator. It almost sounds like an old MP3. Resonator. Again, tuned to G sharp. A limiter, which just really like juices it up. I've pushed the input gain, and then a high pass filter, and then auto pan sidechain. So that's the thing. Even though like the limiter kind of gets rid of a lot of dynamics, right, and makes it really just like flat, it still has dynamics because of that auto pan sidechain. We got this, which is just like a little sound. I think I just took, yeah, you can see I did like the fade. So it doesn't always have to be complicated. A lot of times it can just be those little pieces of audio just doing little things. This one was a lot more complicated though. So this is almost like a neuro bass. It sounds like this without the send. And then with it. So it starts out like this. It's a pretty simple MIDI. Right? Just some simple notes. I'm playing with the note lengths to make it groove a bit more. We got this West Coast fold oscillator. I'm automating the warp like that. So that's what's really doing the pattern on this one. Spectral resonator. Basically doing some unison. Even though Wavetable has unison, I kind of like this one more for this sound. And then roar, which is literally just pushing the mid-range. That's all I did. I just brought up the amount on that. A bit of vocoder, which is also getting automated. A bit of OTT. But you see I brought the amount down a little. The reverb. Sidechain. High pass. And then this one has a send, which just has a spectral resonator. And then the same gate sidechain. Right, so it sounds like that, and then that's just like. So that's also how you create a lot of these atmospheres, is like things sitting on top of the sounds like that. Alright, so then we got this one, another one where it's just some audio cut up. But these like futuristic sounds. This one is just like a hi-hat, I'm pretty sure. Like, let's unreverse it. Yeah, it's literally just a hi-hat reverse. But see, those kind of things, like at the end of 4 bars like that, are great. And then the last thing down here, finally, is this wavetable stab. So that's just G sharp and A. Pretty simple, but it's got a nice groove with the actual beat. Right, and it's in the background, but it's definitely there, just popping in to like keep it exciting. It starts out like this. So this is wavetable patch. We have this verbed wavetable, which has got an envelope on it, and then also the same one is on this filter. Right, just giving it a bit of punch. Overdrive. OTT as well, and that's where you really get the mid-range, and then I high-passed it. Yeah, so that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know if you want to see more like this in the comments. You can get this template at the top of the description on my website, so definitely make sure to go grab that. You can build a lot of tracks out of this, so don't sleep on this. Thanks for the support, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.